Welcome to The Visionary Entrepreneur. My name is Dane Dunlap.
And I'm Nicholas Genovese.
This is a podcast where we interview entrepreneurs about their story and visions for the future. We're here to create a space to network and to learn from each other's experiences. Today we got David Rodolitz with us, who we met through our previous guest, Ryan Alovis. He's an expert in the food, beverage, and hospitality space in New York. He has started tons of successful restaurants, including a 3-star restaurant through his company Empellón. And he's also has an event planning company called Impulse Productions. And he's planned big events, an event with Gary Vee, and he's done plenty of stuff in that space. And now he's founded RK Hospitality, which is his consulting service. So there's no one better to talk to in this space.
So today we're going to talk to David about how he creates value for his customers, for his investors. And then we're going to talk to him about doubt and how he handles doubt and the unknown and uses it as a tool. And the last 15 minutes, we're going to talk to him about the future of the restaurant and hospitality industry and how it's going to evolve in the future.
Hey, David, how's it going? Can you hear us?
Yeah, I hear you. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good, man. What's going on?
Everything's okay. Took a little well-needed break from the training. This is my partner, Nick.
What's up, Nick? Heard a lot about you. I heard you're the Roger Federer of Switzerland.
That's how I describe it.
Not quite the Roger Federer. Otherwise, I'd still be playing tennis. But
Are you?
I look when people see me play tennis, they say I look like Roger Federer on the court. I just don't win matches.
So what? From a stroke standpoint, or from like your composure, or all the above?
Like I guess a mixture of both, like strokes and composure and stuff.
He plays clean. You know, he plays classic Swiss style.
I'm nowhere close to as good as Nadal, but I'm heavy impact on the court. I'm just swinging heavy and a lot of movement and
Lots
grinding
of
hard. Yeah. So my body, I'm 39 now. My body feels it, but I absolutely love it.
When you started being an entrepreneur straight out of college, how were you able to make that decision without having, maybe a strict sense of knowing exactly what you wanted to do?
Sure. Well, I started being an entrepreneur during college and even in high school. I don't think you actually, at least I didn't. It's like I didn't say to myself, like, I'm going to be an entrepreneur today. Like it wasn't. There wasn't a moment like that for me. I think you either enjoy the process of starting things and wearing many hats and figuring out things as you go, and the creative process and problem solving, and also not wanting to really work for other people, or you don't. Like I was working as a very young age as a pizza delivery guy at a local bowling alley. I always had, gigs going on, and I enjoyed working. I enjoyed having my own money in my pocket, and I came from a great family, and we were very fortunate, but I enjoyed making my own money. I like the idea of doing things to receive compensation. That was always on my radar, and I never had the expectation that if I didn't do things, that things would simply be given to me. So there was just like a very direct correlation for me that if you put in the time, you put in the effort, you do stuff, as long as you're creating value, that you are going to earn for that. So for me, it was like being entrepreneurial was my path to earning and not relying on others. There wasn't, but I don't think it's like you just say to yourself, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I think it's more about characteristics and personality traits and an inner drive and, what gets you going. And I think you said, like, how do you do it if you don't have, the big idea? And, at least my experience and what I've heard from a lot of my entrepreneurial friends, like, you just don't really have a choice. Like, the idea for working for others is not fun or exciting or engaging, and it doesn't bring you happiness and it doesn't bring you fulfillment. I don't even know if I have the golden idea right now. To be perfectly transparent, I know I enjoy the process. I know I enjoy the journey right now. I know I'm excited in the morning right now. Obviously, COVID makes things more challenging, but I'll be completely transparent that I'm having some of my best work days right now during COVID because there's so much uncertainty and I'm so engaged and I'm pivoting all day long and I'm needing to really just be very active. Um, so I think, I think it's about enjoying that day, enjoying the process, the thrill of it. You like seeking out opportunities and you just do good work and you be open minded. I also think you have to be flexible and nimble and know when you need to pivot, know when to shut things down, know when to keep going deeper, know when to go a different way. But I think those are general themes of an entrepreneur. But I still don't think I have the golden idea, by the way.
I think
Yeah.
I think that's what people get wrong is that they think in order to be an entrepreneur you need to have the golden idea. And really at the end of the day, like you said, it's just creating value and enjoying the
Yep.
process of creating value. Because let's say, in our position where, we say to other people, yeah, I want to be an entrepreneur, I want to do something for myself, whatever it may be. And then they look at you and they're like, well, what do you want to do? Like, what exactly?
Right.
Like, well,
Right.
I don't know. I want to do something. I want to change something. I want to create something, right? And then they just look at you like, oh, that's pretty vague and it doesn't really make sense. Doesn't sound safe.
Yep.
It feels like you're taking a shot in the dark. But I guess with your company when you started it, it wasn't this crazy Uber idea startup, right? Where you just
No.
have this like revolution, but you were creating value for people. So could you maybe talk about how creating value specifically it just got you to where you are?
Well, I think ultimately, if you want to do good work and you want to provide value to yourselves, to your colleagues, to your investors, to your partners, you're ultimately going to be top of mind because value is important. And if you're striving to exceed expectations, ultimately, you know, that will drive referrals, that will drive returns, that will drive everything. So, I, at least for me, and especially now with COVID, I think value is a very core element to everything I do. Whether it's operating restaurants and providing value to our guests, I'm never going to be apologetic with pricing, but I'm also never going to take advantage of people. I want to be the guy that everyone's like, oh my God, this guy works really hard. He does what he says. He meets or exceeds expectations. The numbers always feel good. Um, and that should provide its own cycle of new business and continuously working with these clients and other people that they might know. So
Hmm.
So another question that comes up when I'm listening to you is, you didn't study, how to manage restaurants in school, I guess, or you didn't study any of it. How did you like educate yourself that you're on the right path and you don't have to reformulate? You just listen to the market, or you just watch competitors? Like, what's your guidelines when
yeah,
when
I
you
mean,
feel really lost?
the first part for me is like I don't think that goes away. I at least for me, the doubt doesn't go away. I think you just do better in controlling that doubt and using that doubt. So every single day, I have a fair amount of doubt in what's going on, the decisions I'm making. It doesn't
Hmm.
prevent me from pushing forward, though. It's like the doubt is the fire. The doubt is what keeps me engaged. The doubt is that like little bit of friction. And I think you need a
Hmm.
little bit of friction every single day to keep you active, so I use it as a motivator and a reminder that like if I don't work hard, if I'm not present, if I'm not, putting in the time, if I'm not really thinking and trying to provide value, that I will not do a good job. I will fail. I will, there's nothing that's just gonna, be given to me, that I have to continue to do this. I have to continue to be good. So I think doubt is an important part of it. Um,
How many times do you change the process of the restaurant, given feedback? How many, like, from when you first started, how many times did you change significant factors of the restaurant? Like,
I think,
Major changes to the menu or pricing or interior
yeah.
or whatever management.
So I co-founded a restaurant group with Chef Alex Stupak and three other great business partners. And, I was operating alongside Alex from 2011 when we started to 2019, earlier last year. And then I stepped away from the day-to-day side. Um, we were making changes daily. Not massive changes, because you want to give things a chance to succeed. You want to be, firm or strong on what you believe your concept is, or else you start to become, a very watered down version of yourself if you're trying to
Yeah.
appeal everybody. And then
Mm-hmm.
ultimately there's no vision, there's no brand, you're confused.
Yeah.
So I think you have to be obviously strong on a lot of your brand filters. However, Alex was incredible with changing the menu often until we found that real sweet spot.
I think you can use that for any business, for any
That's right.
startup.
Yeah, I think
That's right.
that's honestly for me, at least I think that's the most fun part of entrepreneurship. And I think it's actually really hard to find the balance because, like you said, it's all these pivot points. And for us in
Yep.
our podcast, it's the same thing. It's all right, how do we present our media, right? Or how do we get new guests or, all these things. Every week we're changing our website, whatever it is. But then at some point we also found ourselves lost where we were trying to appeal to everybody and maybe you lose your brand that way. So I think
Yep.
that process is really hard, but it's actually maybe one of the most fun parts of entrepreneurship because you're constantly changing things and keeping it fresh. I have just one more question for you before
Shoot.
we wanted to talk about kind of your industry, and we genuinely really want to know where that's going and where you feel it's at. But one question before we get to that is a lot of our audience, they're going through this process of navigating the business landscape, and maybe they don't want to be entrepreneurs like
Yep.
Nicholas and I do. What would your advice be to a young person who's trying to figure out their path, and maybe entrepreneurship isn't right for them? They don't want to start their own business because it is really hard and it isn't for everybody.
Yep.
But what would your advice be to someone working a 9 to 5 on how they can optimize what they're doing?
That's a good question. I think you have to explore certain things to get exposure to what you're trying to maybe do. So if you're working 9 to 5 and you want to attempt that entrepreneurship, I think you have to make sure that instead of just talking about it, that you're, carving out some time at the end of the day to explore a passion or explore a small business. And actually, instead of just talking or thinking about
Mm-hmm.
it, putting some motions in place um, that test your thesis and test your inner self, if you like what that's doing for you. Do you like that journey? Do you like getting emails late at night?
Mm-hmm.
Do you like seeing an order come into your phone at 1 a.m, and does that get you pumped? Or does that you'll be able to see certain signs of what these actions that you're putting out are doing for you. I think you also have to be very honest with yourself, as an entrepreneur, like, when to be resilient or when to quit, and have you really explored every option? Have you uncovered every rock, and looked at it from every vantage point? Have you looked at it and tried to problem solve in every which, way? And if the answer is yes, and you can look at yourself in the mirror and say, I've tried everything, but this doesn't work, that might make sense for you to not, continue on that business or that idea. If you could honestly say that you've given it a fair shake. Maybe the market
Mm-hmm.
doesn't like what you're thinking. Maybe the idea is not the right idea for this time. Maybe you priced yourself out. Maybe it's too thoughtful or too progressive and people aren't ready for it. Or maybe you're just in the wrong location. Or maybe
Mm-hmm.
you're not a good executor or operator. And
Right.
maybe all those things, maybe it was a great idea, but again, I think you have to be honest with all of these things and look at that information and look at what it's doing to you. Are you enjoying it? Are you really stressed out? Do you find yourselves better under pressure? Do you find yourselves better kind of just taking direction from someone else?
Mm-hmm.
Do you enjoy the security, or do you
You-
enjoy the idea of you know, you could kind of do anything and you can make a lot, but you could lose a lot.
Yeah,
So
people
I
don't take
think
the
those
time
signs,
to do
yeah,
that, to learn about themselves. I think at the end of the day, that's the key for anybody working 9 to 5 or entrepreneur, taking the time to know what you like, but truly do it, not just
yep,
surface level. Oh, well, I like finance. Like that,
yep,
that was me when I graduated. I like finance. I like Excel and I work hard. That's who I
right,
am. And then I realized, whoa, wait a second, there's like 100,000 more layers to what this is. And it's just
yep,
constantly learning about what it is I'm passionate about and what I'm learning. But people don't take the time to do that. They don't take the time to stop and be like, am I enjoying this? Is waking up? What do I want to do? And then having
for
the
sure.
ability to change it as well.
For sure. I think that's right. Like, are you a better self, when you're doing this, and actually be very real about it, not just if you're chasing money, it's probably not going to work. If you're chasing the process and the journey, you'll probably have a better chance of success.
I noticed that the kind of experience based things are gaining popularity during this time.
Yep.
Like we picked up rock climbing over COVID, and a lot of people have picked up tons of new hobbies, right? Like golf or whatever it may be. And those kind of experience-based hospitality things as well are picking up speed. So
Yep.
do you think that maybe there's a shift towards some of those experience-based, models?
For sure. I think in general, and it was before COVID,
Yeah.
I think people are gravitating towards experiences. I think they like sharing experiences, whether it's in person or online. Obviously, social media is a tremendous component of that. And there's a younger demographic that just, wants to be in that kind of sharing economy and,
Hmm.
showing their experiences, whether they're accurate experiences or fabricated experiences,
Hmm.
that's a whole other story.
Hmm.
In relation to food and beverage and hospitality, I definitely think that things are going this way. There's definitely incredibly talented chefs out there, and I had the fortunate experience to work with Alex Stupak for years, and he's incredible. And um, I think that there will always be a market for chef-driven experiences, but however, I do think that more of the world is going towards concept-driven or
Hmm.
experience-driven rather than chef-driven.
And another thing, another trend that Dane and I follow, because we're athletes, I guess, is we eat very performance based.
Yep.
Like we eat mostly organic. We eat, we watch what we eat. But what you provide is like, you know, the culture and the social aspects and the
Yep.
experience and all that. How do you view the trend of health food? You think it's like peaked? Do you think that we're just the start of a beginning of a revolution?
Yeah.
Where do
Great
you see that?
question. I think people, there's a conscious effort of eating cleaner and being healthier. Again, I don't know how much social media plays into this, and the vanity play, and why people are doing certain things. I know personally, I like being healthy. I think fitness is a very important piece to being an entrepreneur and staying driven and staying engaged, and having the capacity to work smart but also work hard, and to just kind of stay active. I don't think the health stuff is going away. People are more mindful of what's being put in their body. I think that there's heavy correlations between what that does for you, and what eating poorly also does for you on a negative level. That being said, I think people that are going out, they're going out for something else. So, you could eat a much cleaner meal at home and put whatever you want in your body and know exactly what that is. And obviously, when you go to a restaurant, that's not always the case. Social experience. Sure, you want to be healthy or healthier while doing so. Um, so I guess my answer, I don't know if I answered it exactly, but I think you'll continue to see more health-based concepts, definitely in the fast casual world, whether it be the sweet greens or, any of those, types of models that, are efficient, that you know where your food's coming from, they're super clean. And I think that works for fast meals. I think that works for you're in Manhattan or a major market and you're going a million miles an hour and you need a quick bite and you want to know that it's good and it's high quality and it also was produced locally and thoughtfully and done in the right types of practices. I think that people like that and that's important, but I don't think that replaces experiences that you're going out for, to be at a place, to have a good time. I don't think one replaces the other. There'll always be that need in hospitality, to give those people the escape, to have a good time, to let loose, to have a drink. So I agree, but I don't think that that's going to, hinder,
one or another.
Exactly.
I'm super interested in your golf experience, because I know Soho House for a while and I've seen it taken off over the last couple of years. And Dane said you wanted to create some sort of Soho House experience in golf. I thought that's an extremely cool idea. I thought there is a lot of space in the market for that, because every golf and tennis country club is stuck up and boring.
That's right. I think that's an interesting model. I got brought into it. I didn't create the concept.
Can we put that in the podcast?
No, please. Yeah, no, I'd love to quickly chat about it.
I don't want to have an NDA.
It's great. No, it's great. I got brought in. There's a group of really, intelligent, avid, thoughtful golfers that love experiences. They spent years at Soho House and other social clubs. And they also simultaneously felt like the country club model was dying. There's definitely some that do well and have good experiences, but generally the trend of country clubs is going down. So they kind of married the two. You're seeing a lot of social clubs popping up, and their twist is it's a social club with these, gorgeous cutting edge clubhouses in metropolitan markets. The first one will be in Manhattan, but they have a reciprocal, access to the best golf clubs, outside of these urban markets and in the suburban areas. So, the clubhouses are just like, you would see at Soho House, with, elevated dining and cool areas to hang out and to have meetings and a cool rooftop to spend time, and, the library and all of these really cool fluid spaces. There'll be a golf twist where there's like the simulators and the Top Golf, kind of feel. So that will be happening at the local unit level at the social clubs. And then as you leave these cities, whether it's on the weekends or you live elsewhere, you'll have access to the best golf clubs around the area. And because I'm selfishly in love with tennis, I'm trying to convince this team to also open it up to tennis people, because I feel like, if you're a golfer, if you're not a golfer, you're a tennis guy. If you're not a tennis guy, you're a golfer. And that generally makes up the entire country club model. So I was fortunate enough to meet these guys. They've already conceptualized the product. It's called Metropolitan Golf and Social Club. But they were looking for a hospitality guy to be their last co-founder. And we spent a lot of time getting to know each other. I think it's a brilliant idea. I'm really excited about it. And I'm now a co-founder of that group and helping to lead the efforts on, where we open, what is it, what are the experiences, how is it designed? We're working with some cutting edge designers. The tricky part is COVID right now and underwriting such a big, ambitious project, because it will require a ton of CapEx. The good thing is that we're not slated to open till 2022. So it should be after, COVID is around. However, raising that type of money, the $15-18 million ballpark, for these types of clubhouses that are, intensely designed and very curated. It takes finding the right, investor partners that understand that and have the means and the wherewithal to help us underwrite it. So, I'm excited about it.
The Norman Foster type clubhouse.
Exactly. But
I think that the social clubs are going to do really well because of people working from home and no social interactions. So if you're sitting, like, for example, I'm working from home. and I don't see anybody. So on the weekends, I want to go somewhere where I can have an interaction with, like-minded people. So I think that with remote work, it'll be great.
And there's also something else happening there, and you're seeing, progressive, you know, uh, industry leaders like Andre Balazs, converting their boutique hotels into members clubs like he just did, or he's doing in LA with the Chateau Marmont. And what you're seeing is, because of COVID, people don't want to be in public spaces because of the concern they don't know these other people and the concern of transmission. However, you now say it's a social club and they're members, and you generally are supposed to know each other, and you're supposed to feel a little bit more comfortable because there's not many ins and outs of random people. So it's playing well right now. And I believe that is gonna, also kind of help and propel our business model. Everything that you just said is 100% true. And I think we're going to start to see a lot of boutique hotels converting their model into the social club environment. There's been wild success of Soho House. You're seeing tremendous valuations of 2 billion plus now. And there's a lot of other ones in this space that, are doing great. And now because of COVID and wanting to be in more trusted environments rather than complete public spaces, you're seeing that twist and conversion happening. So, as bad of it is a time to raise money, I also do think that, there is an opportunity, and it's just about finding the right investor, or partner to, grab a hold of this with us and go at it.
I think there's also an interesting space to be combined with social clubs and these like WeWork type places where you can have networking and, somewhere to work and have a community. Because I mean, there's like this new spot in Atlanta, the Gathering Spot, which is like a social club kind of working place. And I think something where you would have tennis or golf, a place to, something modern like a Soho House, but somewhere where you can actually network, because networking over Zoom is not easy at all. It just doesn't, it doesn't really work. So I think somewhere where you can not only meet like-minded people, but then feel this exclusive, like, membership-based thing. I think that there's some space there for sure.
Totally agree. And that goes back to what you guys were talking about with experiences and people leaning more towards experiences today. And, it all kind of combines and comes together. So yeah, I'm excited. I think we all want to get through COVID, but I do think that there's going to be a tremendous amount of opportunity. You just got to be, you got to be out there. You got to be engaged. You got to, put out a lot of, signs that you're active, that you want to do stuff. And you just got to keep pushing forward.
Yeah. Well, thank you, David. It was a pleasure meeting you.
Yeah.
Awesome meeting you guys. You might be jealous, but I might be going into the bubble next week at the US Open.